Hello everyone, welcome back to another video of Cloud Deep Dive. In today's video, I will show you how you can add Azure AD as an identity provider in your AWS IAM so that you can use users stored in your Active Directory to log into your console without creating any further user in your AWS IAM. So let's start with the demo. Okay, so I have logged in into my Azure portal, and the very first thing which you need to do is you need to create a trust relationship between Azure Active Directory and your AWS IAM. So for that, I will go to Azure Active Directory, and what we need to create an enterprise application. So before that, I want to show you that I have few users here, and I will be using test AWS user, which I'll use to log into my AWS console. So let's go to the default directory and we'll go to enterprise applications. So what we need to do first, we need to add a new application here, and it will be of type AWS, and you can see that you can use other applications as well. So right now we are using AWS. Let's click on that, and you can give a name. Suppose I say project 1, and I click on create. So it take a little bit of time to create this project, and I'll do one thing, I'll pause the video, and once it's created I'll come back. Okay, so my project is created. Next, what we'll do, we'll go to setup single sign-on, and we'll go to SAML. First I want to make sure I am using the correct name. I'll just change it to project 1 so that in case I create any new project I can identify it easily. Okay, so that's saved. Now what we need to do, we need to download the federated metadata XML. So I'll click on download, and I will save it in my downloads. After that, we will go to our AWS console, and what we need to do, we need to create a new identity provider. We'll click on add provider, and here we'll give you a name. So we can see Azure project 1, and we'll choose so let's do like this, and we'll choose the metadata document which we just downloaded. So for that, we'll save it, and we'll say add provider. So my provider is added, Azure project 1. Next, what we need to do, we need to create a role. We'll go to the create role, and we need to use SAML federation. From my providers, I will select the provider which I just created, and I will allow both programmatic and console access, and click on next. Here I need to give a policy. So I will give administrator policy to this. Administrator access. So this is the role which the user will assume when they will log into their AWS console from their Azure portal. So this is the role which they will be assuming. So I will say Azure user admin role, and based on your use case, suppose you want to give certain users only system admin role or read only access role, so you can create different roles based on your requirement. Here, just for the demo purpose, I'm just creating only one role and giving the admin access, and then you can click on create role. Okay, so my role is created. Let's just verify. Okay, the one other thing which I've created is, like, I created a user which is my Azure AD user, and I have noted down the security credential of that, and to this user I have given attached a policy of list role. So what we will be doing, we'll use that security credential and we'll add it to my Azure app which we just created. And once that Azure app have access to this user, so what it's going to do, it will use the credential of this user to list all the roles, and those roles will be used by those users in your Azure portal. So I'll show you. So I have noted out the security credential and copied in my notebook. So let's go to Azure portal, and what we need to do, we'll go to the provisioning, and we'll start provisioning. So we need to provision it. We'll choose automatic, and we'll put admin credentials. So here we need to put client secret and secret token. So I'll put both of them here and do a test connection. Okay, so my test has succeed. So we'll click on save. Okay, so my setting is saved, and close it. We can close it. And now we go to the provisioning. So my initial cycle is not run. The very first time what I can do, that I can do the start provisioning, and what it will do, it will use that user to fetch all the roles, and it will map it here. And next time after the first refresh, it will automatically refresh or kind of read those roles if you have created something new in your AWS console. Free, I think 40 minutes. So if you have done something, and you have to wait for the 40 minutes so that those roles are mapped here. So I'll wait for some time to make sure the roles are provisioned, and then I'll come back. Okay, so my provisioning is complete, and you can see the 3 roles which are synced from your AWS IAM console. Now what we'll do, we'll assign a user to this application. So we'll go to users and group, and we'll add a user. Let's select our test AWS user, and then we have to select a role. So right now you can see that it copied 3 roles from my AWS. One is like Azure project 1, that's the one we just created, and there are 2 other roles which were there. I just copied those as well, so we don't need to worry about those. We just kind of use the role which we want. So we'll select it, and we'll say assign. So now you can see that we have assigned a user test AWS, which to whom we have provided a role which we created in AWS. So whenever this user will log into my app.azure, it will get navigated, or it will select this enterprise app project 1, and it will navigate to your AWS console. So next, let's do that. I will go to myapps.microsoft.com, and it's asking me for the password. So I enter the password, and you can see that this user is having an app of project 1 which you can use, and similarly you can add more apps here as well. So we'll click on AWS app project 1. It's confirming which user you want to use. Okay, so you can see that this user has logged in into AWS console by using the Azure user added in Azure portal, and you can see it's assuming the role which we just created, Azure user admin role. So what it does, that behind the scene it used the role which we assigned, and it assumed that role to log into this console. So that's how you can add more users for the app, and you can use that role, and you can create a different role as well based on your need. Suppose you want to give few users only read-only access, so you can create a role with a read-only, and you can assign that role to those users only, and they will have access to AWS console but in the read-only mode. Okay, so that was the demo. Now I want to talk about that how the things work behind the scene when user goes to myapp.microsoft.com, how things work behind the scene. So when the user log into myapp.microsoft.com, they are prompted to enter the ID password. So user enter the ID password, they get authenticated from Azure Active Directory. Upon success for login, they are redirected back to your access panel, and where they get all the applications assigned to that user. So in our case, we have only one application, so that application was listed there as project 1. After that, what we did, we clicked on the tab. So when the user click on the app, so in this case it was our SSO, AWS SSO single sign-on with the project 1 app, it queries the Azure AD and generates a SAML assertion. So it goes back to Azure AD, gets the SAML assertion. In that SAML assertion, what you get, all the roles assigned to that user for that app. So in our case, we had only one role assigned, but if you have multiple roles assigned to that user, you will get all the roles back to you. And it will be sent back to the user. Now user will be listed, or on the console it will be listed that what all you which role you want to assume to log into your AWS. Because in our case we had only one, so it didn't ask for the selection. But if you have multiple roles assigned, then you will be asked for the selection that which role you want to use to log into your AWS console. Next, the AWS Federation endpoint invoke the assume role with SAML API to AWS STS. So whatever role you will choose, it will invoke an API to STS that I want to assume this role. And once the STS will get this request, it will exchange the SAML token which was generated by Azure AD and generate the temporary AWS credentials. And these temporary credentials are used to formulate a specific AWS console URL. So once you kind of assume or you get the temporary credential, like a specific console URL is created and is passed back to client, and the client use that to log into your console. So that's how the whole process work behind the scene. Hope you learned something, that how federation work in this case, how you can set it up on your console, and how you can use Azure users in Azure directory to log into your AWS console, and how you can uh, give them access, that admin access or read-only access or whatever appropriate access to your users. Please do let me know if you have any question, and if you like the video, please hit the like button, subscribe to my channel. I will be uploading more videos like this, and please share with your friends. Thank you so much. Bye.